Reddit stories from r/AskMen. Yesterday, my boss took a minute to help me bow my tie. What have your boss done to make you think, damn, that's a good boss? Well, an intern that will finish in 2 months, was about to left early to go to another interview and asked my female coworker if she knew how to bow a tie because mine twisted itself. She didn't knew, but my boss, always busy as hell and going from one meeting to another, popped up behind me and asked me if I was going to an interview, which I replied yes. He then proceeded to take off my tie, put it around his neck, made the best knot I've ever seen, adjusted it for me and gave it back to me saying, "That will make it, good luck." All I was thinking was, fuck, imagine being that cool. Every day my boss makes it a point to thank us for the help. That makes me feel appreciated. At my workplace, after every shift the manager on duty will thank everyone for the day as they leave. It really makes you feel appreciated. Yeah, like you did everything for a reason, but in a personal level. I was an electrical apprentice. I bought all my own tools, which apparently is rare for a new apprentice, but I like being prepared. Well, I lived in the crappy part of town and my tools got stolen out of my truck one night. I replaced them all. A month later my GF at the time drove my truck to work as soon as I got home because she was having cat trouble. My truck was stolen and everything inside was gone. Called my boss and told him I'd have TTIB out for the day to go replace my tools, and he told me to go to the electrical supply and put them on his account and to get the nice stuff. $1,600 in tools, and he didn't bat an eye. Wow, that's both very cool of him and very unlucky for you. Hope you moved out now. That was back in 2007 or 2008. Live in the suburb life now. My boss is the owner of the company. He gets dirty just like the rest of us. You'll see him during the day covered in dirt and grease after working on a piece of equipment. He won't ask you to do something he wouldn't do himself. He always asks how we are doing. Always asking if we need anything and how our kids, wives, family are doing. You'll often see him with one of his grandkids in a truck with him or on a machine helping their grandpa. Last year one of the mechanics lost his wife. Struggling financially, he was buying kerosene when he could in 5-gallon cans to heat his house. The boss found out, and when the guy got home there was a slip from a fuel oil company who had filled his oil tanks on the boss's dime. My brother is in need of a double transplant. Just yesterday I needed to take off work to get him to the hospital 60 miles away when they called at 4:30 a.m. with a possible donor. I called my boss at 5 a.m. and said I couldn't come in, that I had to have my brother at the hospital by 7 a.m. "Take care of your family and I'll see you Monday, hope everything goes great for him," was the reply I got. I've had some really bad bosses, at one good ones. This guy the first work for now isn't a pushover, but he's fair and does the best he can to make sure his people are doing okay. That's a great boss right there. Pushed me to shoot for a new position even though me leaving would inconvenience them. It really does mean a lot to have someone care about your personal success beyond the scope of their own responsibilities. He actually works. I mean, sure, half the time he's on his phone watching videos or looking at jokes. However, if we are in a busy spot, he'll put on an apron and help on the line, running food, or bust out in the dish pit. He will then crack open a beer with you after shift, and be joking around. He's a good guy. Yay, I fully understand that some people in manager positions are there because they already put in their time doing grunt work and shit, so I can't blame them for not doing shit all day as a manager, but it's nice when they are still willing to help when it's needed. Well, he's not a manger, he's the owner. I had a platoon sergeant help fill sandbags one day. His rank, billet, was way above filling sandbags, but there he was out there sweating balls with the rest of us. He did shit like that all the time. He was the best example of leadership I've ever seen. He probably knew more hands on deck working was more efficient, would get everyone done with their work far earlier, would probably get others to pay it forward, and was performing such actions himself because he wanted to. Among a lot of other benefits for everyone around him. At one of my previous jobs, my director and I discussed a yearly bonus tied to performance. As I approached the end of the year and my year review, raise meeting was scheduled, I hit the metrics and was excited for some extra cash in my pocket. During the meeting, we talked about how I was doing and his happiness that I'd hit all of my metrics. Then he told me that unfortunately, I wouldn't be getting a bonus because there was no bonus in the budget for anyone on our team. He said that while he and I had discussed it, the bonus had not been approved by the CEO. I could have left it at that, but I knew that the only way to get what you deserve in the corporate world is to advocate for yourself. No one else will. I told him that was unacceptable and that he and I had an agreement. We are both honorable people and my trust in him as a leader and mentor require that we keep our word. He immediately got up and left the room and pulled in the CEO. He explained the situation and that I deserved the bonus even if no one else got one. After talking for a few minutes, the CEO approved the bonus. After the CEO left, my director shook my hand and said he was proud of me. He was glad I stood up for what I deserved and apologized for the situation. Even though he hadn't done the right thing, he took responsibility, held himself accountable, and solved the problem. I ended up leaving the company a year later, but it was on great terms. He and I still keep in touch. It is rare to find people who hold themselves accountable. If you have a boss who does, you're lucky. That one really hit home. Nice work. It's been extremely busy lately since it's almost end of the year. He thanked us for our hard work and gave us hockey tickets and an Apple Watch. I was _floored _. How many reports does he have? Exclamation mark. He is a lawyer and we have over 400 plus clients. He has been busy trying to settle case after case, so it's been nuts for us in terms of work to do. He leaves me alone as long as my work is done. That's and the paycheck is really all I ask. Yeah, something to be said for that hands-off approach. I've been having an awful few months in my personal life. I let him know and he said he would cut me some slack BC he can understand where I am coming from and then gave me a number for the helpline if I ever needed someone to talk to and if he's not around. He then let me in on a schedule shifts that are gonna be happening and wanted me to have first crack at it. And then 2 days ago he invited me to see Star Wars on opening night. We work on a campus that has a movie theater so it was pretty easy. He's a nice man. This summer, I went on a night out with my boss and couple of other colleagues after work. I had to leave to get the last train home and the station was a 20-minute walk away. When I was about halfway there, my phone buzzed. My boss had pinged me over £20 on PayPal with a note saying, "In case you miss the train. Thanks for being awesome. Print memes and put it in our desks." He could have just given up when our small company hit serious financial problems. Instead he doubled down working 80-hour weeks, took out a second mortgage on his house and took a massive pay cut to get us through. I only found out years later because we're basically like family now. He promoted me over all the people that had been working at the place for years. I just 1 year. She was genuinely happy for me when I got a new job that paid more, and told me that I would be missed. My manager always mothers me and asks me if I had my lunch yet. And commands me to have it if it's too late. My first boss was like a grandma to me, always giving me advice and bringing us cookies. When I moved to my new job, she told me they called her since she was one of my references and gave a glowing recommendation for me. I had just finished training as a receptionist and accidentally messed up a credit card authorization form. Instead of freaking out on me, he took the time to explain what I did wrong, and showed me how to fix what I did wrong and how to do it correctly for the future. Bought everyone at work a massage, so yeah, she's pretty awesome. I was an intern working on a manufacturing line. It was a smaller product line, with only myself and a tech working on the line. The tech left the company, and because it was a very hands-on process they kept me on and I took on the day-to-day role. 2 months later my boss gave a raise from intern pay to what the previous operator was making. What was really key here was he made the raise retroactive from the day the tech left, so I got a big lump of back pay. Bosses who look out for their employees like that are hard to come by. Halfway through this year my boss asked me to take on a difficult project that another project manager had fucked up. I agreed. A couple months later, he surprised me with a pretty significant mid-year raise as thanks. And I still got 4% at the end of the year. He's a good boss in other ways. He's direct, honest, and supports us when we need him to without micromanaging. But a boss that recognizes good work and rewards it appropriately is as good as gold. He taught me and my friend that making dolphin noises is saying a very bad word. Hired me with zero experience, pretty much inspired the path I'm on now with his pep talks. Another one of my bosses understood I was new, introduced me to everyone in the office, always put himself on the line for his team and really fought for decisions that would affect us more than him. Before he left, he fought to make sure I got a raise from senior management. Took me out on a half-hour walk every 2 weeks to discuss how my job was at the moment and things I could do to develop myself further. So far, not a thing. We were falling behind and had to pull some overtime to catch up. My manager asked for volunteers and not only stayed late with us, but she bought us dinner and even gave me a ride back to the train because she didn't want me to take the 15 minutes walk that late. Meanwhile, at my previous job teaching martial arts, my boss would leave me alone to teach the last class by myself so he could leave early and have dinner in the city. My boss at my last job was like the older brother I never had. He became the owner of the company by the time I left. It was my first ever job in high school and he basically taught me all the life skills you get with working retail, how to talk to people and such. Going in I was very shy and socially awkward, and while I'm still not exactly a social butterfly, I can navigate a room of strangers, or talk on a phone with vendors and get stuff done. Gave me good year-to-year raises without me ever asking. Really made me feel like an asset to the company. Even rewarded me with an unexpected bonus just for showing up on time reliably when no one else really was. We were both into cars and bonded over that. He even paid me a full day's wage to come by his house and detail his Grand National. When I graduated college and was ready to move on, he gave me flexibility in my schedule to make interviews and gave me pointers for doing those interviews. Let me hand-pick and train my replacement. He never thought he was above even the most basic day-to-day task at the store. And would never ask anyone to do anything he wouldn't. Would go on service calls regularly and get dirty with our head service tech. Stood up for his employees with really difficult customers. I've had 2 bosses that were like that. Both were like 20 years older than me, but they gave me the advice many others wouldn't. They were honest, about my potential but also where I currently was mentally, personally, and professional. They were honest to God friends, but due to their experience I always followed their management in business. When my boss would have a performance meeting a week, but also a personal lunch where he invited me to his wedding. It's a balance, but when you find it, it's worth its weight in gold. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more Reddit stories like this.